everyone, my name is Usha Kumari M and welcome back to my channel where we break down cybersecurity concepts in simple way possible. I've been working for the IT industry for about 15 years and the link to my LinkedIn bio is given in the description box below. In today's video, we're talking about Clause 4 of the ISO 27000. Clause 4 is all about understanding the context of the organization. It must be sounding very weird. I'm going to make it very crystal clear for you with an example. We will be discussing Clause 4, sub-clauses of Clause 4, and all the mandatory documents which are required under Clause 4. Clause 4 talks about the context of the organization, as I said. Now, what is context of the organization? It is nothing but understanding your organization. Say your organization is ABC. It is important for you to understand your organization. What are its business goals? Who are their customers? What are the risks associated with your business? So if you understand all these, based on this information, you can probably build a good information security for your organization. So that is the reason Clause 4 is very important. And that's the reason why it stresses on understanding the context of your organization. Now, Clause 4 is actually divided into 4 subclauses: 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, and 4.4. First, we'll get into each one of them step by step. Now, 4.1 focuses on understanding the organization and its context. 4.2 talks about understanding the needs and expectations of your interested party. And then Clause 3 talks about determining the scope of the information security system, and Clause 4 talks about the complete information security management system. Point 1, understanding the organization and its context. Now, to understand the organization, you must first understand what sort of business this organization is into, okay? And what are the factors that are affecting the information security of this organization, or what are the factors that are affecting the business of this organization. Now, there are different factors. Few could be internal factors and few could be the external factors. You need to understand what are the factors that are affecting the security of the organization. First, you understand, okay, the internal factors could be the process, could be the technologies and the people involved, and the external factors could be the laws and regulations related to your business, your market competition, your political climate, or even the cyber threats. Let's understand 4.1 with a very simple example. Say you run a business of an online food delivery app. That my food delivery app is Hungry Me. Okay. Now, I need to understand what are the internal factors that can affect my business. So, I need to connect the hungry users, okay, with the restaurants. That is my main business, right? So, what are the internal factors that can affect my business? Say, I am dealing with customer data. I have to make sure that this delivery are scheduled properly and they're delivered on time. The payment is going smooth and there is no threats against the online payments that is happening. These are all my internal issues. But what could be my external factors that can be challenging for my business? The external factors could be like, I have to make sure that my company is abiding by the food and the safety laws, the data privacy laws, because I'm dealing with all customer information, and also the cyber threats. So as per Clause 4.1, we have to make sure that the organization, the purpose of the organization, what kind of organization it is, and what is the context of the organization, as well as what are the internal and external factors that are affecting the business of my organization should be documented. The mandatory document which is required for Clause 4.1 is a document where you can mention all the internal as well as external issues related to your organization. You can call this document as Internal and External Issue Register. Clause 4.2, understanding the needs and expectations of interested parties. Now, who are these interested parties? Interested parties are all those who are involved in your business. For example, as I said, in my online food delivery app, Hungry Me, that example that we took, let us understand who are our interested parties. Our interested parties are our customers, the restaurant owners, the delivery partners, the laws and regulatory departments, as well as our investors. Now, what we need to understand about our interested parties is first of all, you need to identify all your stakeholders and understand what are their expectations in terms of information security. For example, what are the expectations from my customers when it comes to my business, which is the Hungry Me food delivery app. The customers want their online payments and all the data that they share with me like their GPS location or their orders, their payments, everything they want it to be secure. So that is the expectations and the needs of my customer. Now, what about the restaurant owners? The restaurant owners, they also want to make sure that the order that they receive is accurate and it is secure, right? And they receive the right GPS location, the delivery address of the customers. That is their need. And they also want, what are their expectations in terms of security? They want that their data is safe and secure and accurate. Now come to the delivery partners. They also want their personal information to be protected and they also want the data to be accurate. The laws and regulatory departments, they want that my business complies with all the data protection regulations. And the investors, of course, they want to minimize the risk. Anything which is related to the business, they want the risks are well managed and they want that assurance from us. So these are the needs and expectations of the interested parties. So when it comes to clause 4.2, I have to make sure that I document all the interested parties, and also document their needs and expectations. Hence, for clause 4.2, the mandatory document is the needs and expectations register, where we will document the needs and the expectations of my clients and all the interested parties. Clause 4.3, determining the scope of the ISMS. Here, this clause emphasizes on defining what parts of your business are included in the ISMS for audit and what has been excluded. Now, if you exclude something, you have to give a proper justification as to why you are excluding it from your ISMS. But if you include it, then that has to be documented in your scope statement. Now, let us get back to our example of the online food delivery app, which is the Hungry Me. Okay. Now, say in the scope statement, I include all those, the mobile and the web food delivery platform. Say it also includes my order processing, my customer data, my restaurant data, my payment processing, the GPS tracking system, and all the application that is hosted on AWS. Say all these are in the scope of my ISMS. Now let us discuss what is being excluded from the scope of the ISMS. So say I want to exclude the physical kitchens or the restaurants because they do not process any sensitive information, for example. Or maybe I want to exclude the marketing activities because they don't handle any sensitive data. So whenever you exclude anything from your ISMS, make sure you provide a valid justification. Now let us discuss a few valid reasons to be excluded from the scope of the ISMS. Say a team does not handle or process any sensitive data, any business critical or customer related information, you can exclude that. One such example could be the facilities team, where they are more into the physical facility, then you can exclude them. Or maybe you have outsourced any service to a third party vendor under a contract, even that can be excluded. Even though payroll team is actually processing your sensitive data, but since it is being outsourced to a third party, that can be taken separately, and hence you are excluding it in your ISMS. This is the specific reason that you have to mention in your document. And another valid reason could be if the team is not involved in the delivery of the services to a client or not bound by any legal or regulatory requirements, then you can exclude that as well. Example would be marketing team. So, 4.3, determining the scope of the ISMS, clearly mentions that you document all the items that are in scope of your ISMS audit and all the items which are not in scope with a proper valid justification. The mandatory document for clause 4.3 is the ISMS scope document, or it is also called as scope of applicability, or you can also say it is statement of applicability. So as I said, whatever is in the scope of your audit needs to be documented in a document which is called the scope of applicability or the ISMS scope document. Clause 4.4, Information Security Management System. Now, clause 4.4 requires you to build and operate an ISMS. You are expected to have documented evidence showing that your ISMS is in place and is operating. How can you show that? By maintaining documents like ISMS policy, scope, the scope of applicability, risk registers, and etc. For clause 4.4, there is no mandatory document required, but it only emphasizes on making sure you are implementing ISMS in your organization. And how do you show that? You will be showing that by giving a proof of the documents like the policy document, the scope document, the statement of applicability document, the risk register document. That should suffice. But if you still want to have a document, you can just have an ISMS manual where You will point out to different policies, statement of applicability, risk registered from this particular manual, else it is not required. If we have to summarize what is the focus of Clause 4, Clause 4 is just to ensure that the business tailors its ISMS to its unique environments. It's like saying before protecting our store, let's understand who we are, who we serve, what risk we face, and what exactly needs protection. Clause 4 is all about understanding your business environment, the people involved, and defining what parts of your operations should be protected under the ISMS. That's all for this video. Was this helpful? Let me know in the comments. And yes, in my next video, we'll move to Clause 5, Leadership. Let us understand how top management drives security. Until then, stay safe, stay secure. Thank you.